Hi, and welcome to the start of our cookie clicker tutorial series. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what we are going to be making in this short 5 episode tutorial. We are going to have this is our basically our screen at the start. It doesn't look too impressive at the moment. We can click the cookie to gain the cookie, of course, like Cookie Clicker does. When we have enough money, you can buy at the store, and it's going to populate the middle. I can do it again, and it's going to keep populating. At the same time, you can see that it's increasing the CPS, or the cookies per second. You can also click the numbers up here to change how many you want to buy. So if I go to 10, that's going to be 294. I'll be right back in a second. And 294, I have 10 selected. I click this. It's going to add 10 of the clickers. It's going to increment up in the cost, and also the per second is now increased as well. As also with the clicker, when you now click, it's going to click with these and adding the CPS of these at the same time. So it's going to be my click plus the each of these. So it's going to be 2.2, like so on. So what's different about this system is that we are communicating with a online service in order to get the time, and this basically means that the player is not able to modify their settings, their time settings, because it's being handled off-site. It's not being handled in the hands of the person playing the game. So if I now click play, if you notice in the top left corner, I was offline for 46 seconds, and it generated the amount of cookies. And all of this happened offsite. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be making. Hopefully, you enjoy. It's going to be a short 5 series, as I said. If you enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe, and also join the Discord. It's the link is going to be in the description. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let's get started. This is the third time testing this because my mic kept dying. I don't know what the fuck happened. Let us set up some folders. We're going to have a base folder, and we're going to have a worlds folder. Top left, you're going to select new level, empty level. This one is going to just control S to save that, and save it in your worlds folder, and it's going to be our main world. Inside of our base, we're going to set up the player controller, HUD, and game mode. So PC base, GM base, and the HUD, which is HUD base. Inside of our content folder, we're going to set up a new blueprint. It's going to be a game instance. This is where most of our shit is going to happen. So I'm going to call this one cookie game instance. Top left, edit, project settings. Go to your maps and modes. Select your GM base. Expand this one, and also do all of these. At the bottom, you can select your cookie gamers. Control Shift S to save all. Make it a folder. This one is going to be called interface. Inside of interface, we're going to have a HUD. This HUD needs to be called, so let's do that. Head back to your base folder, HUD base, event graph, lock that up there. On begin play, we're going to create widget, WW HUD, and we're going to add that to the viewport, like so. Our HUD doesn't actually have anything. We can close out HUD base though, because we don't need that anymore. Now let's head into our HUD and just dock that up there. Let us set up some things in the graph. So over on construct, first we're gonna get we're gonna cast to cookie game instance. And the object of this is the get game instance. We're gonna set this to be a variable. Equals one game instance ref. Now we need to set up a couple things. So let's actually set up the stats widget first. So let's go user widgets and WBP stats widget. Actually, let's call it stats. Our stats widget is going to be very simple. We're going to have a vertical box. This vertical box will have a border. I'm just going to set it to 2 padding, and then set it to the side on screen. Add another border to that border. 2 on each here as well. First border, I'm gonna set the color down a little bit, like darker, and I'm gonna have like a bluish on this one, I think. So something like, maybe something like that. Can't actually see it yet, so let's fix that. Instead of a border, we're gonna add a text. This text is gonna be a variable, and it's gonna be called bakery name text. I'm gonna set a defaults bakery. You can change this out later. My goal is to have it so that the players can change the names themselves. I'm also going to be adding a little shadow color of 0.6 on the alpha, just to have it pop out a little bit. And then we can duplicate this from the top border, duplicate that one down. This text is going to be the total cookies text. And here we're going to have 9999 cookies, like so. I'm going to set this font down to like 16 maybe. Regular. Yeah, something like that. Also going to do on the top border here, I'm going to set a padding to the bottom. Let's do like, no, not the bottom, sorry, the top. Maybe like 10. And I'm also gonna align everything to the center. So, I'll duplicate this final one, and we are gonna call this one CPS text, cookies per second text. And we're gonna have something like this. This one can be even smaller, so 14, and maybe light. Yeah, that looks okay to me. File and save that. Now we can go into our HUD. We can actually add this. We need a canvas panel first though. Then we can add our stats widget. So, not this side, there we go. Now we got our little stats panel up there, right? Let us head into our game instance for a second and set up some variables for this. So the first variable is going to be our CPS, cookies per second. Second one is going to be cookies, just total cookies, right? And then we need a text for our bakery name. Well, and say, over on your stats now, you can go into your graph. And we can get control, drag out these 3. Which one is at the top? Per second is at the bottom. Name is at the top. So bakery name. On the construct now. No, on the variable, sorry. We're gonna set up game instance ref. Type game instance. Cookie game instance. Back on our HUD, in our graph, we're gonna get our stats. Should we actually, no, we should actually set this to HUD instead. HUD ref. Because the HUD will have access to everything, regardless. So the HUD ref of our WBP stats to be that of ourselves, which is the HUD. Now we can go back to our stats and we can get game instance. Nah, that's not the right one. Have we not set up it yet? Game instance ref. Did I not see it? Is that only? It shouldn't be out from this one, Tommy. You dumb. Get game instance. Then we're gonna set text from the bakery name. So we're gonna do a format text out of this one. Curly brackets. Inside of those, you're gonna type in bakery name. I'm gonna do it like this, and then bakery. Bakery. There we go. And then from our game instance, we can now get our bakery name. Like so. I'm going to set up a default one. I'm not going to bother figuring out how to add this at the moment. Just gonna call this one default. And then we also want to set up our total cookies. And our total cookies are gonna look like this. So we're gonna have format text. We're gonna have cookies, curly brackets cookies, and then cookies, like that. Our cookies, of course, comes from our game instance. And then we want to get our CPS and do the same thing. And then our cookies, and then here we want for a second curly brackets cookies, CPS. Comes from our game instance. We also most likely want to update this in the future. So add a custom event, we're going to call this one update. That goes into there. And we are done with our stats widget. Doesn't actually look that good, and that is because we don't have our HUD ref. We actually, instead of going this out of construct, we're going to set up a custom event. We're going to call this one initialize, or init. After we, in our HUD, set ourselves as the HUD ref, then we're going to initialize. And that should get rid of that error. Right there. There we go. Defaults bakery, 0 cookies per second. That actually did not look good. The per seconds should not be light. That was a bad decision, so I'm going to do regular. It didn't update, and that's because we need to remove it here. But fuck it, it's updated in a minute. We also need a cookie to click. I'm gonna make a new folder. I'm gonna call this one images. Okay, so I just imported these images. You could do the same or whatever you want. I'm gonna do it like this though, with these images. I'm not gonna send these or have them in the link because, yeah, I don't have the rights to do that. So find your own cookies and grab us. Let's go into our interface and yeah, let's set up not a actor, a widget. This one, WBP cookie. So out of cookie, we're gonna have a button. This one is gonna be called cookie button. And then we're gonna have a image inside of cookie button. Set this inside. It's gonna be the cookie image. This image is gonna be not high testable self and children. I set 0 padding. And I'm gonna set the brush picture to be the cookie. That is actually way too low though. I'm gonna set it to 251 by 251 maybe. Is that okay? That looks fine. That's our cookie. Add our cookie. So you can see how it looks on our canvas panel. Cookie. Place that to content. That actually looks okay for us, I think. Yeah, that's our cookie. Now let's add some functionality so that we can actually click it and gain cookies. We're just going to add that inside here, inside of our cookie. Our cookie does needs a HUD ref though, so HUD ref of type WBP HUD. Set that over in our HUD, as we do with everything. In the HUD ref, do that of ourselves. So now let us set up a new function. Start of our cookie, and this one's gonna be click. Gonna call that one. When we click it, we simply, for now, want to get the game instance ref. We want to get the cookies, and then we want to set cookies. And what do we want to set it to? We want to set it to, we're going to add more functionality to this later, but for now we're going to set it to cookies plus 1. So it adds 1 to it. And then we also want to get our href. And as I said before, we need to get our stats widget and we need to update it, because the values have changed. And once that is done, we can return. Now, if I go to event graph, I need to get my cookie button, select on clicked, and then we can call our clicked. Our click, sorry. We need to set up some other things as well. So that's what we're going to do first. Inside of our base, inside of our PC base, on begin play, we're going to get player controller, set input mode, game and UI. Maybe we want some key bindings, I don't know. And then set show mouse cursor to be true. File and save that, hit play. Now we can click and we can gain cookies while we click. Awesome. So we got our cookies now. Now let us start by setting up the store. So inside your interface, we're going to make a new one. It's going to be called WBP store. And actually, I think we're going to need a lot of things in here. So we're going to make a store folder and we're going to move store into there. Inside of our store, we're going to add a vertical box. So I was going to set this to the side. Inside of this vertical box, we're going to add a border. Add that of 2 in all directions. Add another border of 2 in all directions. And then set up a text. I'm going to call this one store text. I'm going to make it a lot bigger, so like 46. A little darker there, and then set the shadow color alpha to 0.6. So that looks good. Didn't actually see any difference. Oh, there we go. It is there. I do not like that it's that bright though. There we go. Now we got our text. Let's call it center this one. First of all, set this to the middle and then to the top. And then we're going to call this one store. After this, we're going to add a border to our vertical box. Add that again to 2 in all. And another one. 2 in all. Did we set the first border here? No, we didn't. Set the brush color a little bit. And on this border, we're going to pad it like 5 to the top. Then set the brush color to something similar as the last one. After this, we're going to add a horizontal box inside of our border, because now we're adding the store functions, right? So we need a buy, sell, and all of that. Inside this horizontal box, we're going to add a vertical box. Inside this vertical box, we're going to add a button. Inside of this button, we're going to add a text. So this button is going to be called the buy button. This text is going to be the buy text. The button, we're going to have a color and opacity of, like, I'm going to have like a greenish hue to it. Something like that. The text, I'm going to set up the shadow color. I'm going to do 1 on this one. It pops out. I'm going to change the text to buy. Actually, let's set this to like a purpley. Something like that. The buy button. Maybe an alpha 4, like that. Duplicate your buy button. And this is going to be your sell button. Call this one sell. I'm also going to do the store, actually. First of all, the store is really big. We're going to do that to like 50. And then the buy and sell are going to stay at 24. The sell is going to have the sell button is going to have a color and opacity of a reddish. Because it's selling it, right? Once this is done, you can add a button inside of your horizontal box and a text inside of that. Select the button. This is going to be our 1 button. And of course, then this is our one text. And it's going to say 1. I'm going to center that. How do we get this to be? Oh, we need a button. Center the button to the middle and middle. I'm going to add a padding of 10 to the left, maybe? Yeah, 10 to the left. And the text is going to have a shadow color of 0.6, like so. Once that is done, you can duplicate your button a couple times. The last button is going to have a padding of 10 to the right as well. Actually, all of them is going to have 10 to the right. It's not 10. And 10 to the right on that one. There we go. Second button is going to be our 10 button. And that means that the third one is going to be our 100 button. The text of the second one is going to be 10. Text of the third one is going to be 100. And that is our store for now. Once that is done, we can add a size box into our... Is it our vertical box? No. It's the wrong vertical box. Hang on. Yeah, once that is done, you can add a size box to your first vertical box. We're going to do a height override of 600. And inside of that, we can add a scroll box. Scroll box is going to be variable. We're going to call this one shop entry items scroll box. And I think that is a good place to end it for this episode. In the next one, we're going to add a store capabilities, and maybe we'll work on the save